We've all heard that admonition, right? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Of course you do. Our society values honesty and authenticity. The legal system depends on it. Relationships need it. Indeed, the truth shall set us free. Well, check this out. You're sitting in the living room, and phone rings, and your spouse or adult child picks it up. Oh yeah, you can tell I'm a boomer. Picks it up and says, "It's the insurance company. They want my statement for the accident last week. What do I tell them?" Now another famous statement comes to mind. "You have the right to remain silent. Everything you say can and will be used against you." What happened to the truth? Can we have a world where telling the truth doesn't hurt people? But the risky situations come up all the time. The boss calls you in. The police pull you over. You're going into a big job interview. Maybe you're suspected of some kind of misconduct. Even the social media is pounding in with questions. What's your best plan? As Jeff said, what's your best plan? You might hear, "Just tell the truth, you'll be fine." As a 35-year lawyer helping people answer tough questions, I can tell you that is wrong. And for one really good reason. A single sentence can change the entire outcome of your interaction. Consider this case. With the facts adjusted to protect the confidences, for 23 years, I represented federal agents who were accused of misconduct. In one case, the federal agent had been arguing back and forth with his ex-wife about pickup and drop-off times for the kids to and from school. Now, for a couple of months, he'd been picking up and dropping off, and the ex-wife had not complained. And one day, the dad's driving during work time, and he gets a call from the police. The officer, on a recorded line, tells him the ex-wife had called to complain he was violating the court's child custody order by repeatedly dropping the kids off too late. The dad in the car says, "Wow, that's news to me. I hadn't heard of that before." And then he went on to explain the situation as he knew it. The federal agency authorities took that sentence, "I haven't heard of that before," as telling the police there had never been any conflict between him and the ex-wife over the kids' drop-off schedules. The agency fired my client because they said he lied to the police. One sentence, taken out of context, ended his federal career in disgrace. Years of hard-fought litigation never got his career back. One word, phrase, sentence can radically change everything. And client after client, I saw what was happening. Their words were taken out of context, twisted, misquoted, mangled, all to serve someone's agenda. And here's the dirty little secret. Advising the clients to just tell the truth, you'll be fine, is harmful and dangerous because the investigators were not looking for the truth. They were looking for ways to charge and punish. Now, unprepared people tell long, convoluted stories. The facts and events and conversations come out of order or they're forgotten. Sometimes people will answer questions in ways that seem to admit misconduct they didn't even commit. Under pressure, people feel like the more they talk, the better. Extra words means more confusion and more bad sound bites. And look, our words really matter. In business, personal conversations, social media, you name it. Our best chance for truth and fairness is when we speak the truth clearly. So, in order to help my clients speak the truth safely, I developed about 23 tips and techniques, and the top 5 I can share with you and anyone because they'll be useful anytime you're in a situation where you're answering questions and your answers might be used against you. Let me illustrate how they work in a very simple case involving myself. It's a car accident case. All right. So I'm driving down a wide Scottsdale, Arizona street, 3 lanes in both directions. Family in the car. It's dark. I'm coming up to a big major intersection. Coming the other way is a sedan that pulls over into its left turn lane and pauses there at the intersection. I'm looking at a green light. Suddenly, the sedan bolts out in front of me. I slam on the brakes, but still smashed the right rear panel and took out the taillight. Turns out the driver was a nice 16-year-old girl. She just got her driver's license. This could happen to anyone. And the insurance company called to take my statement. So that takes us to tip number 1. In a situation like this, you want to watch out for the 2 riskiest questions in an interview like that. The first and the last, and I'll explain both in turn. The risky first question is the one that goes like this. So, tell us everything that happened, or start at the beginning and just tell us everything. In other words, babble on. People generally are not prepared to give very good statements with this just open-ended like that. In my case, the investigator said, yeah, I'm calling about the accident last week. Tell me, what happened that day? Well, that's like, an invitation to tell my life story, right? So I said, well, I'm thinking, well, it's not relevant that my boss was telling me about a problem with a project, or that my wife and I had actually argued about which street to take home, or that the kids were singing in the back seat. No. The best thing is to zero in on the key facts stated simply. And the key facts was, I was going toward the intersection, the sedan in the left turn lane jumped in front of me, I slammed on the brakes, but my car hit hers. And then let the investigator ask the follow-up questions. Let's go to the other risky question. That's the last one. And it goes like this. Is there anything else you want to tell us? Anything else we need to know? Any question we didn't ask? Those questions are traps, and your best answer is no. But if I think of something, I'll let you know. And that answer is truthful because they just asked all the relevant questions they could think of. You don't know what else they need to know. But if you do think of something super important, you will tell them. All right, that takes us to tip number 2. Question and answer situation. You want to listen to the question, answer that question, and stop talking. Yes, be sure you understand the question. But after you've answered it, stop talking. It seems like a no-brainer. And when the facts and details are coming in, accuracy and clarity are crucial. But after you've answered the question, stop talking. It's tougher than it sounds. So, in my case, the investigator asked, where was your car when the sedan came into the intersection? And it was so tempting to say something like, we were trying to get home soon. Everything was fine. Suddenly I see this car in front of me. And I'm thinking, oh man, I don't want to hit that car. I don't need the trouble. I don't want it on my record. No, the question was about location. Where was your car? And the answer was, it was just past the crosswalk into the intersection. That's when I first saw it. The turn. Okay? So then there's a silence after you give a short answer. Don't rush to fill the silence. Listen to it. Listen to the crickets. Wait for the next question. It takes us to the next question. Always answer questions with your personal knowledge. And I have a 5-finger rule for that. It's what you saw, heard, read, said, or did. If it's not one of those 5, you probably don't know it. Yes, there's taste and smell and touch. That makes an 8-finger rule. You get the idea. 5 fingers, facts. All right. The investigator asked me, so how fast was that sedan going when it made its turn? So tempting to say something like, yeah, fast. Jumped out there. I'll bet the tires were squealing. Way fast. Did that come from my personal knowledge? No. I didn't know how fast it was going. I did not hear the tires squeal. And what does way fast even mean? Right? But an answer like that hurts you because it injects emotion and speculation. So now are all your answers going to be emotional guesses? The best answer was about the speed of that car. It's the truth, which was, I don't know. Because I didn't know. Stick to the 5-finger facts. Saw, heard, read, said, did. Takes us to tip number 4. Do not answer a non-question. What's a non-question? It's a statement that doesn't have a question mark. Let me show you how they work. You're in a question and answer situation, and they ask, you answer, and then they come back with a comment or a statement. Something like, wow, that must have been a surprise, or I don't think I'd have done that. Those aren't questions. Don't answer them. Okay? In my case, I was explaining to the investigator how I'd slammed on the brakes just before hitting the other car, and he says, I think I would have swerved over into the next lane. Did we hear a question mark? Nope. That statement invited me to talk without a plan. Who knows what I'd say or how the words would be used against me? Best response to that is, listen to the crickets, wait for the next question. Final tip, and this is one we can use just about every day, honestly. Tip number 5. Do not claim you know any other person's mental state. Because you don't know any other person's mental state. You don't know what other people know, think, feel, believe, fear, regret, love, hate, intend, plan. None of those. Those are all internal mental states, and you don't know them. Now, if someone tells you what they know, think, or feel, what do you know? What you heard them say. You still don't know their mental state. If you have to communicate someone's mental state to someone else, try to figure out what it might have been, then do it with 5-finger facts. Here's how you do it. For example, someone comes and asks you, did your boss know you were coming in late this morning? That's a mental state question, knowledge. We don't do a mental state answer. Instead, we say something like, well, I emailed her this morning letting her know I was coming in late. I assume she received it and understood it. That's 5-finger facts. Now, when you claim to know someone else's mental state, you get into trouble later when they deny it entirely. So don't ask for trouble. In my case, the investigator said, I'll bet that driver, wasn't paying any attention, was she? Be in a big hurry, right? Mental state questions. I don't know. So my answer is, I don't know what she was thinking. I can only tell you what I saw happen. That's the truth. So, with these 5 tips, you can use them anytime you're in a situation where your answers matter. You can avoid traps, gotchas, soundbite problems, tweet storms, gossip mills, you name it. And you can control how often your own words are used against you. Now, imagine a world where the truth doesn't hurt people. What if we all spoke the truth we actually know, and it doesn't come back to bite us or others? Now, we can do that starting tonight using the 5 tips. And indeed, the truth will set us free. Good luck.